Artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed.
Is there a backlash to AI brewing? We were all told that artificial intelligence was the great societal hope, that this new technology would make our lives better and easier. The AI revolution, we were told, was coming, and whether we liked it or not, we all better jump on board. But in recent weeks, we've noticed some signs of resistance to the AI revolution, from college students to protesters who don't want data centers in their neighborhood, to even the Pope. From the BBC, I'm Asma Khalid in Washington, D.C., and welcome to The Global Story on YouTube.
I'm Aleem Maqbool, and I'm the BBC's religion editor.
Well, Aleem, you cover religion for the BBC, and you covered the Pope's encyclical. And I was going to say, when I first saw this word even, I confess I felt a bit, I will say naive. I didn't really know what this term meant. So can you first just tell us what an encyclical is?
So it is one of the highest levels of teaching that a pope can issue. And technically, I suppose, it is considered to be a letter to bishops around the Catholic world. But in reality, over the last, 30, 40 years, maybe even longer than that, it's really been seen as a letter to the world.
Okay.
On some occasions, it is dealing with things that are very tangible, very real life. Like Pope Francis released his most famous one was called Laudato Si, which was about climate change and about our responsibilities to the climate. It felt like Pope Francis was talking directly to world leaders, the people who had responsibility to it. And similarly, in this case, this definitely, to me, when I read Pope Leo's new encyclical, felt like that kind of message directly to, yes, the Catholic world, but also as a direct message to those in positions of power.
And Aleem, he not only issues this encyclical, my understanding is he delivers it, he reads it out. And that took place at the Vatican on Monday, earlier this week. You were there. What was the scene like?
Well, Pope Leo did choose to present it. That has not happened in the modern era. We haven't had a pope present his own encyclical. He decided he would. And it was essentially for all intents and purposes, something that looks like a lecture theatre, but he also presented it with other people. He presented it with cardinals, he presented it with a theologian, and he presented it with somebody from the tech world as well. There were journalists there were cardinals there were members of clergy, there were nuns. It was about an hour-long lecture, essentially. And then at the end, the Pope gave his summing up of why it was important.
It certainly seems like the headlines, and I saw your reporting, Aleem, is that the central tenet was artificial intelligence and the need to morally deal with this new technology. What was your top line takeaway?
It was all focused on artificial intelligence. I would say, reading through the document, it was heavily weighted towards the negatives of artificial intelligence. He did touch on some of the good, but even when he talked about some of the good, the message really was good will only come of artificial intelligence with regulation, with governance. And without that regulation and governance, we're heading for disasters in lots of ways.
Artificial intelligence already touches many areas of our lives and affects decisions that shape human coexistence.
And he looked at different aspects of why he felt that.
It is also dramatically changing how war is waged.
For example, sort of AI-driven warfare, how that gave him huge concern. He also said, AI replacing people in the job market was something that he was concerned about. And so he was really looking at it as a kind of all of these things as ways in which it was taking away something of what it means to be human.
Did he spell out what he wants to see done?
Yes, he was talking about power being in the hands of a few, and then wielding that power to the detriment of those who were more vulnerable. So a lot of this document was talking to those few, was talking about
the tech leaders.
To the tech leaders, but also global leaders. So it was about legislation to rein in where AI was going, but also
So
from
calling for regulation, you're saying, essentially, Lee?
absolutely calling for regulation from outside the industry, so at governmental level, but also inside the industry. He was talking very directly to those in the industry about their responsibilities. His message throughout the first year of his papacy, in a lot of ways, has been about how we should look at the most vulnerable. And his worry was the way things were going with AI, it was creating a new layer of people who would essentially be slaves to the technology.
Did he use that word, actually, slaves to the technology?
He talked about a new digital slavery, and actually that's how he sees AI if it goes unchecked, that it will be a new generation, many generations of people who will be trapped, who will be powerless, and will be there as a commodity. And as part of that explanation, he also made, he talked about historical, traditional slavery, if you like. He made a very clear apology for the Catholic Church's role in that. But he also talked, and that was his point about mentioning it here, was about how long it took for the Catholic Church to condemn slavery. And his message really was, we shouldn't let that happen again.
And this is a question that I want to ask you about specific wording in the encyclical. The Pope called for AI to be, quote, disarmed. What's your sense of why he chose that word? What does that mean?
Well, he explained precisely why he used that word.
Artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. The word is strong, I know, but deliberately chosen because this moment needs words capable of attracting attention, awakening consciences, and indicating paths forward for humanity.
But that's how important a subject matter he thinks it is, and how dangerous a juncture we are at.
You say this is a message that was directed in part to tech leaders, and that the Pope was also joined by some in the tech community. Who specifically was there?
So Chris Olah, who is one of the co-founders of Anthropic, he was sitting beside the Pope, and he had a fascinating take on all of this.
Every frontier AI lab, including Anthropic, operates inside a set of incentives and constraints that can sometimes conflict with doing the right thing.
He was agreeing with the Pope on a lot of the things he was talking about.
We need more of the world, religious communities, civil society, scholars, governments, and indeed all people of goodwill, to do what His Holiness has done here.
I haven't seen a great deal of response from the tech sector as such, but I think for me, when I looked at the document, I was surprised at how much it lent towards the negatives.
Towards the negative. I wanted to ask you about that, yeah. We've done a number of episodes here on The Global Story about artificial intelligence, and it's sort of like it or hate it, it's a fact of our life. Like, there's nothing I can do, I think, to put the genie back in the bottle for my young children. They're going to grow up in this world, right?
That's right. And even I have done, programs about AI and faith where, there was somebody who had created an AI saint and who could answer religious questions. And they put it in an old people's home. And some of those old people who hadn't necessarily engaged with others found some kind of companionship. But even there, the Pope warned about how really what we should be focused on is putting that energy into having greater human interactions. The Pope has certainly become, well, as you'd expect from a Pope, a strong moral voice on the global stage. There will be some who will sit up and listen, and it will give people food for thought. But we're talking about the decision makers here, the political leadership, the tech leadership, individuals in tech firms. And there are real questions about how any of them, or whether any of them, will deliver on what the Pope's asking.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us, Aleem. I really appreciate it.
That's a pleasure.
That's it for The Global Story on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. And if you liked our show today, then I've got to mention that The Global Story is also available as an audio podcast. You can find us every weekday on bbc.com or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.